welcome to the Explainer. Hey network, just a quick legally mandated disclaimer from the internet's thought leader community. Listening to this is absolutely going to synergize your paradigms, optimize your bandwidth, and 10x your solopreneur hustle by next Tuesday. Guaranteed? Right, now that we've checked that box, let's unpack the absolute latest, most unhinged tech hype cycle, looking at the meteoric rise and the spectacular quiet crash of AI coding buzzwords.
Okay, let's dive into this. On the agenda today, we're going to trace the life cycle of this latest buzzword, from the euphoric rise of vibe coding to its frantic rebranding as agentic engineering. We'll look at the token economy irony, how AI models are acting human, a quick COBOL history lesson, and finally, the true cost of AI.
Section 1, the vibe coding hype, a broken promise. If you've spent, any time at all on LinkedIn over the past year, you've definitely seen the sheer unadulterated delusion of these grandiose claims. Suddenly, every project manager, operations lead, and pseudo-visionary discovered ChatGPT and just started churning out these low-effort thought pieces about how they were going to 10x their output. The pitch was intoxicating, right? AI was marketed as this ultimate synergy engine to cut human costs, inflate profits, and finally deprecate those weird geeks with no social skills and high-paying jobs. Suddenly, anyone with a keyboard and a dream of synergy could just bypass developers entirely. This glorious phenomenon actually got formalized under the term vibe coding. People got so incredibly hyped about non-technical folks just kind of vibing a full-stack application into existence that the Collins Dictionary literally declared it their word of the year this past November. But okay, here is the punchline. Just 1 year after the idea of vibe coding took over the internet, the exact same thought leaders who were championing this trend are now quietly pivoting. They're churning out new low-effort articles declaring that vibe coding is completely dead. They tried it, the software was garbage, and reality finally set in.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. Agentic engineering, the great rebrand.
See, because these thought leaders couldn't just admit their magic bullet failed, the industry is pivoting hard. The new delusional iteration is to replace vibe coding with vibe engineering, or honestly my absolute personal favorite, agentic engineering. But there is a stark irony here. The groundbreaking, highly synergized agentic engineering methodology that out-of-touch managers are frantically pivoting to, it's literally just traditional software engineering. We're talking about the exact same software engineering that's been practiced since the 1960s by the very geeks your operations manager was so desperately excited to replace. Let me just sarcastically walk you through these earth-shattering innovations of agentic engineering. Step 1, you write a specification down before you build the thing. Groundbreaking. Step 2, you break the work into smaller, well-defined tasks. They call this task decomposition. Now, I know this might sound like a massive disruptive innovation to a LinkedIn influencer writing from a coffee shop, but task decomposition is literally taught in the first 2 weeks of any computer science degree. Step 3, you thoroughly review the code. We are basically crawling back to building software exactly like we did 3 years ago, just rebranding the whole shebang with a shiny new name so the content machine can keep spinning.
All right, Section 3, the token economy irony, devolution of language.
And this brilliantly illustrates the hilarious economic reality of the current AI landscape. We were told that coding was advancing from low-level assembly to high-level languages, and finally arriving at plain, beautiful, poetic English. The dream was if English can build software, anyone can do it. But economic realities quickly shattered that illusion. Because you pay for AI per output token, beautiful English is incredibly expensive. To keep API bills under 4 figures, developers are literally forced to use broken caveman speak. We've devolved from, please help me modify the visual appearance to reflect the color of the ocean, straight to the caveman grunt of, make button blue. We were promised AI would make software development more human, but instead it's forcing us to talk like literal cavemen just to save a few cents on cloud compute. And the ultimate irony here? If you find yourself typing, update, oh no fluff, just code, make no mistakes, you have literally just invented a highly inefficient, incredibly expensive version of a programming language. It is actually cheaper, easier, and frankly faster to just open your IDE and type out the CSS color blue rule yourself. It completely defeats the purpose of the whole plain English revolution. Moving right along to Section 4, AI models acting human, the Opus 4.7 regression. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive disconnect between social media hype and technical reality. We constantly see armchair experts declaring that the next AI model will destroy all software companies and usher in a new utopia.
but then the models actually release. Take the overwhelming consensus regarding the recent Opus 4.7 release. It was widely considered a massive regression. It hallucinates, it fabricates web searches, and hilariously, it literally invented a coworker named Anton. But the best part? It pads its responses with useless fillers and actively tries to call it a day after just a few messages. AI didn't become an unstoppable supercoder, it just adopted the lazy habits of a human worker aggressively dodging Jira tickets. No way, right? Because of this massive reality check, the industry consensus is shifting rapidly from this dream of infinite exponential growth to the stark realization that we might be hitting a wall. We've kind of pivoted our synergies a little too hard. If vibe coding was the word of 2024, the expectation is that by 2026, the defining word of the tech industry is going to be plateauing.
Which brings us to Section 5, the COBOL history lesson, repeating the 1960s. Now, if you think this dream of non-technical managers writing software in plain English is a brand new disruptive AI concept, oh man, I have a mind-blowing productivity hack from 1960 for you. Back in the 1960s, Grace Hopper and her peers designed COBOL, the common business-oriented language. Their explicit documented goal was for managers and non-programmers to be able to read and write code in an English-like syntax. Fast forward to the 1990s, and that exact same vision resulted in the massive Y2K bug panic. And now, here in 2024, vibe coding is just repeating the cycle, completely oblivious to the past.
See, the COBOL experiment completely backfired. Instead of empowering non-technical managers to easily build complex systems with a few synergistic English sentences, that English-like syntax just forced actual programmers to write extremely verbose, rigid, and ultimately difficult to maintain code. It was so hard to manage that early programmers tried to save memory by using just 2 digits for the year, which led directly to the Y2K bug. And when that Y2K panic hit, guess who fixed it? It absolutely was not the business managers. They couldn't handle the massive technical debt they had enthusiastically demanded. The industry had to drag those original COBOL programmers back out of retirement to clean up the mess. History is literally repeating itself.
Finally, Section 6, the true cost of AI, judgment over generation.
So the crucial point is this. Vibe coding with non-technical people simply doesn't work. When you use AI to make the initial writing of code incredibly cheap, everything that follows becomes exponentially more expensive. Teams are now dealing with massive code churn, large volumes of generated code that just get quickly rewritten, reverted, or patched. Because of this, developers are increasingly acting as reviewers, integrators, and debuggers. Less time goes into the physical typing of code, but significantly more effort is required for validation, debugging, and long-term maintenance. The real cost of software engineering lies in judgment, not generation.
And this leaves us with a critical reality check for all those aspiring millionaire solopreneurs out there. If AI makes generating code almost entirely free, who's going to pay the rising astronomical cost of actually validating, debugging, and maintaining all that messy, hallucinated code long-term? It's a question the hype cycle desperately wants to avoid, but one the industry will inevitably have to answer. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, do not let any thought leader on LinkedIn convince you that throwing away your engineering practices is a 10x strategy. See you next time.